Hi, everybody. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to chat to you today. We've decided that we are not going to present any pretty pictures to you, but rather we've put a small video together that'll be available at the end of this, and it'll stick on the end of the recording, and Tara will handle that. I guess I'm here to pretty much just chat to you about my life and the story about how I came to be a mask maker in this crazy world that we're living in at the moment. A bit of history. So I'm a fashion designer. I'm not a happy girl unless I'm making stuff. And I inadvertently got pretty passionate about job creation in South Africa through running a factory for most of my life. About 10 years ago, I was exhausted. We couldn't compete with sort of cheap Chinese imports anymore. And so I shut down my factory and I went to look for something that I could sustainably make in South Africa and most importantly, scale. And I landed up owning a flip-flop factory. And it might sound bizarre, but very, very simply, I got a letter from the school one day to say that my girls couldn't wear colored flip-flops to school. I then thought, well, that's silly. Where am I supposed to find plain black or white ones? I asked Google, as one does, and I discovered that Havaianas exports 200 million pairs of flip-flops globally a year. I sort of see them as t-shirts for feet, and I decided that that's what I was going to do. And for the next 5 years of my life, I met the most incredible people. I pushed the first range that I ever did into the conservation industry. And I had this crazy idea in my brain that I could use the platform of the brand that I created as a way to sustainably fundraise for worthy causes. And at the time, it was 2011, and the whole rhino nightmare was happening. And I spent a year sort of traveling around and meeting various people in the conservation space. And it was honestly incredibly interesting and distressing to me, I guess, mostly because I think please, please, please help me is not a business model. And I think that the people that work within these spaces need some way to actually really, really, really be sustainably assisted. And it's led me towards the thought that I think that we should run businesses very, very differently. So as the years have gone by, I've grown my business through marketing to the corporate sector and not focusing on the brand until 3 years ago when I developed Grit, which is our flip-flop made with recycled tires. And at that time, I decided to sort of reintroduce my interest into the conservation space and see where I could plug in. And because the flip-flop is a plastic product, plastic and the impact that it has on the environment was of particular interest to me, and I figured that we could do something. And so we sit here. We launched a bag that Grit comes supplied in, and the bag is made out of the fabric that you see in every single shopping mall now that is made 100% out of recycled plastic. And sort of based on the premise of do what you can with what you have right now, our thought process was, well, it's all very well saying it's made out of recycled plastic, but where does it come from and why should I recycle? And so what we did was we approached the people that actually make the fabrics and we worked it out a track back so that we could figure out how many bottles would go into the fabric and then in turn generate the product that we make. And we worked out that 1 2-liter bottle equals one of our flip-flop bags, and that's how we took it to market. And when we retailed the product, we would exchange plastic bottle waste for discount and give the consumer a substantial discount to try and get them to see the value in the recycling process. And that's been working really, really well. And this year we were full of lots and lots of plans to really, really push Grit into the marketplace. And we were busy opening up a retail store in Cape Town where this product would be made aware to the tourism market, and it was all very, very exciting. And that shop was supposed to be opened on the 1st of May, and then COVID came along. 4 weeks after lockdown, I sort of had to drag myself off my couch and think, oh my word, I've got my whole factory to keep busy. I'm responsible for 10 people in a factory, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in South Africa, obviously, the knock-on effect of that is huge because of everybody else that they support within it. And so I figured, well, I now know that we're going to need a mask and I have access to this fabric, and let us do something. but I didn't want to climb on the supposed bandwagon like everybody else. And so for me, it was an opportunity for us to use the need to springboard a brand that stood for something. And that's how Waystd was born. And it's been the most incredible journey, to be honest with you. I plug into the corporate sector. And so all I did was create this mask, make sure that it had an ISO specified filter in it so that it would actually protect you. We worked out that 3 2-liter bottles equals 5 of our masks, so that there was an actual track back. And I just sent out a mailer to my clients that I deal with. And yeah, we're now on the 5th of November. It's my birthday. I'm 53 years old today. So I'm by no means young, I guess, but I don't think that I'm old. So I'll continue to behave like a child until the day I die. And we are flying. It's been unbelievable. We've had such incredible response to what we're doing and why. And obviously, I'm totally aware of the PPE issue and the knock-on impact it's going to have on the environment. And yeah, I mean, I guess our product is a conduit for us to reach people and get them to understand that they are responsible. And that's what I want to bring across, that I don't think that the large corporations are responsible. I think that we as individuals are responsible. If every single one of us just was conscious of what we did every day and made sure that we didn't mess up the environment individually, I think that we can fix it. And I know that sounds idealistic, but yeah, that's sort of my take on it. So that's my story. You can see all about our product on www.waystd.com. And as I said, we'll plug a little video to show you the processes of how we manufacture onto the back of this once it's flighted onto YouTube. But what I am incredibly proud to tell you is that over the last 5 months, we have managed to provide employment for a good 100-odd people that would never have had work and been able to feed their families. And for me, that is the best achievement ever, over and above the reach that we've now got to do some good and start getting people involved in how we see things through the brand that we're growing. Our store was obviously delayed. It's going to launch in the Cape Quarter, and that's going to be at the end of this month. And what we're doing is launching a vending machine that is going to allow people to deposit bottles and link to an account and then utilize those credits to get the discounts in our store. And we're really hoping to roll that out nationally and get other companies involved that make what we would call green and conscious and local products, so that they can utilize the platform too and encourage people to recycle more. And that's where I'm at.
Hi, Lee. Do you mind talking a little bit about the factory and how things are made and where you source your PET from and the whole system of how you get from recyclable PET bottles to the mask?
Okay, sure. We have absolutely nothing to do with that process. It's all handled by Petco and Plastic South Africa. They handle that side of it. They run the waste picker projects. The plastic gets recycled and it goes to the mill in Cape Town and it gets spun into fabric that is available to everybody. And that fabric comes to us and we cut it and make it into product. So we're not involved in it at all in terms of the actual collecting of waste, but it's something that we will gear towards getting involved in as we grow this brand, because we'll have the resources to do that. And I particularly feel that, you know, one of the issues that I observe is that plastic recycling, I think any type of recycling, is expensive. It's a costly thing to do. And so the aim, I guess, and the goal is to elevate the price point of recycled plastic, because if we can spin it backwards into the brand that is made out of the product, we can do that. So I've had some very, very exciting conversations over the last couple of weeks with people from government level that are starting to look at this and going, well, we can create lots and lots and lots of jobs. And we've lost all our fabric mills in South Africa. I mean, over the last 20 years, most of them have closed down. So again, I see this as a springboard to sort of bring that industry back, because it creates lots and lots of jobs. I mean, me being in the clothing industry, I can tell you that in 2001, when all the mills started closing down. Frame knitting mills closed down in KwaZulu-Natal and 30,000 people lost their jobs, you know. So it's hugely beneficial if we can mass scale this particular product. And there's so many angles that it can plug into. It can make clothing, it can make luggage, it can make so many things. So I see it as exciting, I guess.
All right, Lee. And are there any plans to expand to other areas of reusing recycled fabric in your factories after the COVID pandemic?
Absolutely. So, I mean, the masks are just an incidental. For us, they're a platform, essentially. So we're already working on what we've called a buffer, and we've trademarked the word buffer, which goes into the market as a buff instead of a mask, because it's a more comfortable thing to use. So that product was launched this week, and I did the first corporate order for Nampak Rigids, and they use it as a way to sort of brand it and use the whole plastic recycling thing, because our single knit is made out of 65% plastic bottles and 35% cotton. And then into our shop and online, we will launch a range of clothing this year still, and hopefully the luggage range that we're working on. So once the world stops wearing masks, the big idea is that Waystd will stay, and it'll be a brand that represents anything made out of recycled plastic, because the list is endless.
There's questions on the side. This is speaking to Nosy, by the way. I'm at SST. I'm not sure if I lost connection, but I see there's questions on the chat box. I don't know if you want to go through them in the meantime. Okay, so one of the first question is, if recycling is expensive, what is the best solution to tackle this plastic pollution crisis?
I think recycling is exactly that, but recycling into everything. So as I've gone along the industry, we've explored putting 100% recycled plastic back into bottles. We've explored making products like pens and rulers and stationery and things that people utilize every single day. One of the things that we're doing this season in our shop is we are launching a range of sunscreen, and that is going to be supplied in 100% recycled PET bottles, just because it links to everything that we do. And because of the way that we brand and package it, I guess my sort of standpoint is that branding and packaging and the way you present something to the consumer is everything. I think that COVID has taught people that maybe they don't want to be so consumer oriented, and you rather buy something really, really good and something that you want, as opposed to having lots and lots and lots of rubbish that you don't need. So yeah, I mean, Big Pens manufactures billions and billions and billions of pens every year. Why don't they make it out of recycled plastic? They don't, because it slows down their manufacturing process. They don't because of the profit margins that they put against something that is streamlined to such a point that the profit margins are huge. And I don't know, I just see it differently. I don't think that big industry needs to be that way, but let's see what happens. Most people don't understand. I mean, the best analogy I can give you comes from my background in the clothing sector. So I would say to people that the jeans in Mr. Price and the jeans in Diesel are made in the same factory in China, for example. And the one retails at 5,000 Rand a pair and the other one retails at 200 Rand a pair. Why? It's the disparity of the brand building that makes everything shift. So if I presented you with a Bic pen and I said to you, right, this is made out of virgin plastic, and I presented you with a Waystd pen that I could tell you 1 2-liter bottles equals this pen, and it stood for something, I honestly think that the consumer will start to buy into that process because they understand where it goes. And that way we can recycle more plastic product into products.
Okay, thank you so much, Lee. And then another question is, can the recycled material be used for disposable masks?
No, I mean, I don't see why. When you call it disposable, I mean, for us, it was about making something that lasts. So our mask is like anything. It's going to last as long as you want it to, until it gets old and tatty and you want to throw it away. And then we will preempt people to come and bring them to us rather than chuck them away, because we've got other plans in place to recycle those. So the whole concept of disposable, I think, is an issue, and I don't think that you should be even considering that. And Hayley, yes, you're right. Recycling, it should be called repurposing. I think that it's easier to say recycled because it's made into something else, but that's what the consumer understands. And I guess that this is our platform now to start to really, really educate them, because really, really, most people have no idea where it goes and they don't care. We need to make them care.
Yeah. And then there's a request from Hayley McLaren that she's not finding your site, so could you please let us know what it is again?
Yeah, I see Stacey's posted it there. So it's Waystd, spelled waystd.com, not .coza. There you go.
Okay, perfect. Tara, is your microphone okay now? Okay, doesn't seem like the microphone is okay, but I'm just going to continue reading through the questions. Are there any plans to expand this business, and what would your company need? Are you only looking at PET products to recycle, or are you open to other waste streams as well?
I guess moving forward we would be, but for now I see plastic waste as the biggest issue. So anything made out of plastic, whether it's whatever type of plastic, that is what we've decided to focus on. I think it's, you know, I had a meeting with the brand manager of Twizzler, which is a really, really small soft drink brand. I mean, they're tiny compared to Coca-Cola, for example. And it really blew my mind when he said to me that just in Gauteng alone, they sell 40,000 2-liter bottles a day, and they are tiny, you know. So for me, as just a regular person that doesn't know a whole heap about this, I just look around and I think, well, it's not illogical to say we've got 50 odd million people in this country. Every single one of us is responsible for at least a bottle a day. It's huge. It's huge, 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 huge. And we can fix it. It's so easy to fix it. It just needs to be done properly.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then another question is, have you measured or assessed the permeability of packaging made from recycled plastic, which could ultimately affect quality of shelf life of a product, like sunscreen, for example?
You know what? I suppose everything has to be tested, but the plastic companies that manufacture those products assure me that they are safe. Woolworths is using them, so that's good enough for me at the moment. You know, we are tiny. We don't have the resource to go and do all of those hectic tests, but we work with the people that manufacture it and we trust that they're doing what they're doing. And I guess as we grow, we can check on that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so sorry about that. I'm not sure why the mic died. Thanks so much, Nozi. There are a few more questions that says, everything is really price dependent. How do your products compare in price? For example, the big pens versus your pens.
We can absolutely match price. And if it is more expensive, it'll be a couple of rand more expensive. So we absolutely can. That is not the issue at all.
All right, then there was another question that says, plastic recycling can be quite expensive. Is this the best solution to tackle the plastic pollution crisis? And do you have any other solutions in mind?
Well, I'm very aware of they're doing experiments with chemical recycling, although that's in the UK, so I don't really know if that's hit this country yet. Again, you know, South Africa doesn't have the resource to do a lot of things, but I recently met a very, very interesting gentleman that had created what he called a pyrolysis machine that would turn plastic waste into energy. And I've been liaising with him a lot about that because it seems like an incredible solution. And that project was funded by the World Bank and they need to take it to market. It's got zero emissions, etc., etc. And it can turn plastic waste into either diesel or paraffin, or it can take organic and plastic waste and turn it into energy. So it's exciting, I think. I think people are doing a lot of incredible things. I mean, Jeffreys Bay, they've just recently started to do the first prototype in South Africa of the road made out of recycled plastic, which I think is really, really clever. So yeah, I guess time will tell.
Thanks, Lee. I think the pyrolysis and incineration options can be quite tricky just in terms of the circular economy, because it may divert waste from the environment and from landfill, but it doesn't allow them to be reused indefinitely and still does then waste the resources that went into producing it. 100%. There is a comment from Tony that says, how efficient are your masks against the COVID virus? In other words, can you say that they keep out 90% of viruses in the aerosols and prevent spreading 95% of your own sneezes or similar?
Our filter is ISO specified, so yes, and the outer repels moisture. We've had it tested and it came up, I mean, it was between 1 and 4, 4 being the most efficient, and ours came up sitting at about 2.5. So I don't know where that sits as percentages, but yeah, it's definitely way better than wearing just a standard cloth mask with no protection, and it's breathable and it does something good. So that's about as win-win as we can get right now.
Thanks, Lee. There's a comment that says, I agree recycling is really not the solution to the problem of plastic pollution. We need to reduce our consumption of plastic and really of everything. In the case of masks, if reusable masks protect from viruses, same as the disposable ones do, why are there so many people using the disposable ones? Thank you and happy birthday.
And I absolutely agree. I absolutely, completely agree. The reality is, though, until we have a proper solution, I mean, in my tiny little reality, don't believe that we've got an immediate solution. And so when we don't have an immediate solution, and whilst we're working on one, we need to do what we can with what we have right now. So do the best that we can. And obviously, disposable masks are going to be utilized because they're cheap. You can't compete with that, I guess. I don't know. But equally so, a mask has now become sort of a normal thing, an everyday thing. It's something that you wear. I mean, you buy one and you can use it and you can wash it and reuse it. So yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why people won't spend extra money. And it's been quite interesting to see what people have come up with. I mean, I think everybody and their uncle are manufacturing masks at the moment just because it's an income stream where they know that they can plug into it and make money.
Thanks, Lee. I think, sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, not at all.
Okay. I think one of the reasons people sometimes resort to the disposable masks is for conveniency, because I think while it should be an ingrained practice at this stage, people will sometimes, I assume, forget. Or if, you change your bag or something, or you go out with someone in their car instead of your car and you don't have your mask with you, I think, yeah, that could be a reason why they make use of disposable masks. There is another question that says, what is the total environmental cost to make one of your masks in terms of the cost of water usage, electricity, and material cleaning, etc.? How do they compare to fabric masks, for example?
Sure, I wouldn't know. I'll get back to you on that one. We can go and do the exercise. We're focused on survival mode at the moment. So, I mean, all I can tell you is 3 2-liter bottles equals 5 of our masks. I can't tell you anything more than that because it's totally off my radar, but we can look at that. Running sewing machines is not a very, it doesn't take a huge amount of energy at all. So.
I see. And you mentioned that you get the fabric and the material from Petcoat, for example. So are you not necessarily involved in the manufacturing of the fabric, but rather you get the masks and turn those into the masks? Sorry, yeah. You get the fabric and turn it into masks.
Yeah. So we are absolutely not involved in that at all.
Can you comment on the number of masks that you produced, and as an indication of that, how many bottles have been diverted from landfill as a result of Waystd?
Yeah, so if you look on our website, you'll see that it'll give you a stat, and that hasn't been updated, but I'm really excited to say, so up until then, we were looking at about, I think, 16,000, if I'm not mistaken. It'll tell you if you scroll down.
Thanks, Lee. And can you comment at all about the project where you donate a mask for each one that's bought?
Yeah, so in my innocence, we launched what we call Project Waystd because we were dealing with the corporate industry. And what I did was I said, okay, we will make the second mask at cost, because for us it was more about job creation than anything else. So if you buy into Project Waystd, then the second mask will be free. What I didn't anticipate was certain people coming to us and going, oh, well, instead of ordering 1,000 masks, I've actually rather do 500 because Project Waystd, the mask was selling at, let's say, 25 Rand a mask, and Project Waystd would only add 10 Rand more onto it because that is our cost to manufacture. So they quickly saw that, and I had to sort of dig in my heels and say, well, we will brand them for you, and you will tell us where you're going to donate them, because otherwise we're not going to do this. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's idealistic to do stuff like that, I guess, and I learned a very, very valuable lesson. But still, we've had a lot of corporates that have opened their arms and really, really sort of embraced Project Waystd. Coca-Cola's been one of them. They've just finished, so that will be updated. It actually happened last week that we delivered the first 20,000 that they've been distributing to all the spaza shops in South Africa. So that was very, very exciting for me, because it's an obvious match. You know, any of the beverage bottling companies we're targeting, because it's a way for them to actually track their carbon footprint backwards and see the value of what we're doing and then utilize it. So yeah, I mean, that has been quite exciting. So that's going to go up, because their recent order gave us another 12,000 bottles that were recycled.
Thank you, Lee. There's a question from Philippa that says, how do you absorb or manage the recyclable market fluctuations? Do they impact on your pricing and costing?
You know, what our product and our cost of product is labor heavy. So the fabric, to be honest with you, is absolutely incidental. It's a very, very small part of what it costs to make a mask. It's the branding and the packaging, and the labor is the most expensive part. So if it does fluctuate, it'll affect us by a couple of cents and we can absorb it. So it's not an issue. But I'm not quite sure that it should be that way, to be honest with you. And that's where I have an issue.
Thanks, Lee. I think that's also where Petco plays an important role, as they will fund the difference in the case of market fluctuations in some cases. There's a question that says, where is the packaging made from recyclable material available from? Can you provide supply names without disparaging other suppliers?
The packaging? What do you mean by packaging? I'm not sure I understand.
I'm not sure if they're referring to the actual material that you use for the masks, or if they're talking about the packaging that you mentioned was one of the costs involved in the total cost of the masks.
I mean, if you're referring to the material, then obviously just approach Petco. That's exactly what I did when I decided I wanted to do this, and that's what they're there for, and they will help anybody. I mean, as I say, everybody's got access to this fabric. It's just that when you walk into Woolworths, you'll see that, oh, this bag was made out of recycled plastic. We just tell you how much made it. That's the only difference between what we're doing and everybody else.
Sorry, Lee, they clarified. They said packaging for products like sunscreen, for example.
Oh, so Bowler Plastics in Cape Town. The owner's burned. Amazing, amazing, amazing man. And he manufactures for everybody, really. They're the biggest. Our aim is to get our own injection molding equipment and then start utilizing the plastic waste that we collect via our vending machine product to start manufacturing bottles moving forward. And I'm hoping that that will happen towards the end of next year. But until then, we've got to purchase directly from the suppliers now, and in very, very large volumes, because what happens is that they generally manufacture out of virgin plastic. And it's quite interesting, because when I started to explore this, I was told, well, you know, it's not always perfect. And I'm going, yeah, and I think that that's fabulous. I think that an unperfect bottle is a very, very marketable product because it's made out of recycled plastic. And I think that that's cool. And it's all about how you present it to the marketplace. So we've had some very, very interesting discussions around that. But we've got to purchase huge, huge, huge quantities, because again, to make a plastic bottle, I mean, they cost a couple of rand, you know, it's not an expensive thing. So they've got to set up their machines to do thousands and thousands and thousands at a time. And their machines cost millions to buy. So, you can sort of understand that industry. And when I insist that I wanted 100% out of recycled plastic, before they do our production run, they've got to purge their machines completely and then put our production in. And that gives them about 5 to 7 hours worth of downtime, which again is very, very costly in a factory that has to do mass production to survive. You know, so all of these technical things play a part in our idealistic way of looking at things. And so I had to suck it up and go, okay, cool, I'll be prepared to buy 20,000 bottles and hope to the powers that be that my sunscreen product works, you know?
Thanks, Lee. I was wondering, can you comment at all about the challenges that you might have faced running a small or medium enterprise during the COVID pandemic?
Yeah, look, I guess I'm lucky. I'm lucky because I created something that could sustain us during this time. And over and above that, our factory has now rolled into being a dual purpose factory, and it's manufacturing Waystd products and it's manufacturing our flip-flops. And we have been surprisingly busy. I mean, in our flip-flop factory, we have 4 months of the year to really make money because it's a seasonal product. And we've been busy because I think the uptake is very much around let's all buy local. And I think that any country in the world should sort of do that, because that way you create jobs in your own country. So I guess we are pretty untouched by it. In fact, we've grown.
Thanks, Lee. There's a question that says, is your sunscreen 100% natural, as in no parabens, cruelty-free, etc.? Please tell us a bit about the product. Thanks.
So it is made by a company called Sun, and it is reef-friendly. It is accredited by Cancer, so we don't reinvent the wheel. You know, I like to collaborate with people and go out there and find somebody that makes a product already that I think is awesome. And the only time that I'll go out there and try and make something is if I think everything else is not great. You know, so that's what's going to go into our sunscreen bottles. And what we're doing is we're creating a little sunscreen tricycle that's going to cycle around Cape Town in December. And it's going to be linked to our Trash for Cash project. So we're going to cycle around, and it's almost going to be like an ice cream bicycle, if that makes any sense. I'm quite excited about it. And we will motivate people to give us plastic waste, and we'll carry that and then take it back and shred it in our own environments, and then give them discounts and fill it in the bottle size of their choice. So it's going to be quite fun.
Lee, can I just clarify, is that buyback program different from the vending machines that you're looking to start?
So the vending machines that we are looking to start will link directly with it, but obviously we've got to advertise it and get people to be aware of it. So the first one's going into Cape Quarter, where we're opening up our store. And it's going to sit next to a vending machine that's going to vend products just like a normal one that you would see vending Coke or chips or whatever, but it's going to have Waystd product lines in it. So it'll have the sunscreen, it'll have our masks, it'll have our t-shirt ranges, whatever we choose to make will go inside there so that people can shop 24 hours a day. And then this little bike is just our crazy way of going out there and creating awareness. So as I say, I mean, on the bottle it says this is 100% recycled plastic. And it's all about making an experience. So just like you would take an ice cream cone, people will take a bottle, it'll pump into there, the sunscreen will pump into there, they'll close the bottle, and then they'll be motivated to come back into our shop and fill that bottle. Because again, I see things a little bit differently. Yes, you can go and fill a glass bottle, but so can you reuse a plastic bottle. There's no reason to throw it away. And that's what I want to get into people's heads. So moving forward, we're also working with people that are doing sanitizer just because people need it. And then ultimately, I want to start doing organic ranges of house cleaning stuff and everything that you actually need that can be dispensed into a bottle that can be refilled.
Thanks, Lee. And you make some good points about the reusability of products before they are recycled. There was a question from someone who joined late. They just wanted to confirm. Did you say that Waystd makes masks from plastic bottles, and are these masks made according to the recommendations of who? Do you mind just recapping on that for us, please?
So They're made on the recommendation of, what do you, I'm not sure I understand what that means.
I think they're referring to the standards that are typically used for masks, so the World Health Organization masks. I think you mentioned it earlier, but if you wouldn't mind just recapping that.
Oh, okay, so the University of Stellenbosch will test the efficacy of filtration. And so we sent our masks to them to be tested, but also the filter that we use inside our masks. And again, most people don't know this, but it's manufactured by Freudenberg. It's 100% made out of recycled plastic. Nobody else really knows and understands or cares, but I do. And that's the ISO specified filter that everybody's masks are getting made with if they're choosing to use a filter in the country. So yeah, I mean, in as much as possible, we have made sure that we will protect people as much as possible, I guess.
Thanks, Lee. There's a comment that says, Lee, this is a great initiative, and I look forward to seeing how you and your team grow from here. Every effort counts, and I'm excited about everything you're planning.
Thank you, Samaya. So am I.
Can you comment at all about whether your sunblock and your other products are up and running now? Can we buy them elsewhere, or will we have to wait until the Waystd store has opened in order to stock up for summer?
Yep, you're going to have to wait. So please follow us on Instagram, and you'll see that we're not very active on Instagram, but also if you look at Grits, our flip-flop brand, it's GRRITT.com. You'll see that we're giving away a free Waystd mask with every pair of flip-flops sold. So we've linked it in that way too. And on our website, as soon as that product is launched, we will let everybody know. But it's looking like it's going to be, we're going to swing in just in time for the December sort of tourist season that I'm really praying is going to happen in Cape Town. So yeah. But right now, as we stand, the vat of sunscreen sitting in my warehouse, and nothing's bottled yet because we're still busy with the packaging.
I see. Thank you, Lee. I don't see any other comments left on the chat. If anyone has those, please feel free to either send them through now or to email us later, and we can pass those on to Lee.
Brilliant.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just to say thank you to everybody for joining this. It's not my comfort space, I suppose, because you are all way more au fait with the environmental issues, but it's just a privilege to be able to join you and just give a different perspective onto it. And I really, really look forward to seeing what we can do all together in the future. I do think that the way forward in this world that we live in now is collaboration and making sure that everybody does what they do best and we help each other. So that's my thought for the day.
Thank you, Lee. There are quite a few comments in the group, in the chat, saying thank you, and these are amazing initiatives, which is definitely true. It's great to hear about the business opportunities that there are in plastic waste, and it isn't just something to be thrown away, but a resource that we need to make use of. Mm-hmm. And I think you're definitely challenging the ideas of the limits of waste and reusing things for like plastic sunblock bottles and things like that, rather than just buying a new one, even if it is out of 100% recycled plastic.
Totally.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you so much, Lee, for presenting for us and chatting to us about the very, very impressive initiative that you've been running. If anyone has any future questions to send through, please feel free to email us and we'll pass those on to Lee. And there's a comment that says, initiative is great. Don't worry about the criticisms. You're doing great. I hope to pop into Cape Town store when it's opened.
Absolutely. Please do.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I think we can end it here for today. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And Lee, I hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday. And I hope everyone stays COVID negative but positive throughout the rest of the lockdown and through the pandemic.
Thank you so much. Take care.